Welcome to the Enable Growth channel. Welcome. Thank you for joining me for another Enable Growth podcast. Today, I'm going to talk about a subject that is critical to success in our industry. I'm going to talk about strategy. I'm going to talk about digital marketing strategy. Now, often when I meet a lot of my clients and when I meet people on the street or at speaking engagements and at trainings, they ask me, why are we not seeing results from our activities online? And I ask them, what are you trying to achieve? What exactly are you looking for? It's very, very important always to be clear what you're looking for and to be able to see results. You really need to drive everything you're doing with a strategy. It's what I would call the hook of everything that you're doing. So we're going to look at what a good strategy looks like and how you can develop your own digital marketing strategy, whether it's for a year, for 2-3 years, or even for just a campaign. We're going to look at that. So let's get into it. Thank you. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is, why is it important to even have a strategy? Why do you need a strategy? First, let's be honest. There's so many platforms, so many tools, so many resources out there. And what you need to be very clear in your mind is, what are the set of tools, what are the set of resources that I need to be able to deliver these results, to be able to execute this campaign? Okay? For example, you would have to ask yourself, depending on the campaign, why do I need email marketing and not Facebook? Why do I need to be active on Twitter and not on other platforms? Okay, you need to ask yourself this question. So because there's so many tools out there, a good strategy will enable you to be able to identify the set of tools and resources that you need to execute the campaign or whatever project that you are embarking on. That's number one. Number two is, doing digital can be cheap and easy. By that, what I mean is, it's very easy for anybody to just create a page, create an account and say, I'm doing digital. Okay. But it can be very ineffective if it doesn't have a strategy. By that, what I mean is that without a strategy, you'll be doing what we call hope and pray. You'll be sprinkling and you're hoping that you will get results. No, you can't do that. So a strategy enables you to be able to be very focused and not do the easy things, but be able to do the right things. Okay. It's also the only way that you can measure and control what you are doing in order to achieve the desired results. Okay. Within your strategy, as we'll talk about very soon, you will list the set of things you need to do and the results that you expect. And within the strategy, the resources, the way you're going to use them, should be able to deliver the results. So as you're going on, you'll be able to measure, be able to tell whether you're on track, whether things are working, all those things. You'll be able to answer those questions. Because like I often say, in digital, you don't wait till the end of a campaign to produce report and be able to say whether it was successful or not. In campaign, you can be monitoring, measuring, and optimizing performance. So you don't wait till the end to say that, we should have done this or that. Okay, so that's very, very important. And then also, it provides you with a system for monitoring, measuring, and optimizing performance. A good strategy will have a system that will enable you to be able to do this. Okay, so these are 4 reasons why we need a good strategy to do digital. The next I want to talk about are, what are the elements of a good digital marketing strategy. The first thing I want to say is that it has to start with a thorough and comprehensive situation analysis or audit. So you need to ask yourself, where are we? What have we got? What are our tools? What are our resources? Do a proper audit. Even what's our online presence? Who are the people we are working with? Do we have the skills and the competencies to be able to do what we want to do? It's very, very important that you do that. It should also include a set of SMART objectives. SMART as in specific, measurable, achievable or attainable, realistic, and time bound. Okay, should have a set of objectives. You don't do this without objectives. Okay, then you should also have a set of relevant tools and resources, including the budget and everything that you need to be able to execute the strategy. You should have clear metrics, the things you measure, and KPIs, the look of success. Okay, and you should have a content plan. Your content is what tells your story. So you should have a content plan, okay? And then the actions, the schedule for the actions, even the responsibilities, who's going to do what, okay, to deliver the objectives. And then finally, you should have a system to monitor, measure, and optimize performance. Because everything's about performance, getting results and getting the best results from the campaign. Okay, so let's delve into it. Now, over the last 10 to 15 years or even more than that, I've been involved in digital. And one of the things I've seen through trainings and working for clients, even working for when I was fully employed back then, and doing various things, and even coaching, one of the things I've realized is that there's no one strategy that works for everyone. Okay, so the things I talked about as an element of a good strategy should be present in any strategy that you choose to use. Okay, for those of us who are marketing people, you'd have heard of strategies like SOCARR. It works very, very well. Okay, and you would notice that what I'm going to present today comes from my experience using some of these. There's another one that one of my very, very, very good mentors taught me. It's called SIDA. It's a guy called Wasim Haq. He's my boss when I was at PZ, and we had a great time working together in Manchester and across Africa, doing great things. And he inspires me a lot, and a lot of things that I'm going to share today are from there. He had one called CIDER, CIDER. You can tell where it's coming from. It's from an English guy. And the C stood for challenge, okay, I for insights, D for role of digital, and then ecosystem, and then R was results. Okay, so these are all tools, models that you can use to develop your strategy. But the one I'm going to recommend to you today is a 6-step strategy that I call SOCAR, SOCAR, SOCARR. Okay, so let's get into that. The first step is situation analysis. And the question asked is, where are we? The second step is what I call the objectives. Where do you want to get to? What are the objectives? The third one, the C, is channels. Where should we be? What channels should we be on? Okay, actions. What should we do? The first R is resources. What are the resources that we need to be able to deliver this? And the last one is reporting. How are we going to report on performance? How are we going to even track and make sure that we are performing all right? How often are we going to present reports? Okay, so that's a 6-step framework. SOCAR, SOCARR. So I'm now going to get into that and show you how you use each of these. Now, let me remind you, if you are somebody who is interested and want to use it, I recommend it to you. If you send me an email, look at the bottom of this video. You see my email address there. Send me an email and I'll send you the framework, the template that you can use to be able to develop your own strategy and use it. I've used it for many clients. It's worked for me, and I'm sure it will work for you. So the first box is situation analysis. And there you need to start thinking about this. What's the brand? What's the brand? I'm sure you would have done a brand health check. Where is the brand, for example? What's the name of the company? How is the company perceived? All those things that you need to do to put in there. In the same way, put in there the industry. What are the industry trends? What are the market trends? The challenges, the competition, all those things. And then also, who are the stakeholders? How do you really understand the stakeholders, both internal and external? And do a bit of SWOT analysis of the organization and your team, if it's a marketing or communication team. Then look at the digital landscape. Very, very important. Okay, there are some platforms, for example, that are very, very popular in some markets, but are not popular in your market, or will not work with a campaign or even a brand that you are working with. I'll give you an example. Pinterest is not very popular in Africa. We don't use it a lot. We do a lot of things we would have done with Pinterest with Instagram. So you need to make sure that you're on the right platforms, for example. And for some campaigns, you may find that, well, you probably don't even need Twitter. Not that Twitter is not good, but you don't need Twitter because that's not where people go to have conversations about the things you want to talk about, things like that. So you need to be very careful. And then you also look at your own online presence and how you've been performing over the past. So there are a lot of things you put into the situation analysis, but this gives you a good foundation. Like we often say in business, if you don't know where you are, you cannot tell where you are headed. Okay, so you need to know where you are. Very, very important. The next box is where you then begin to look at it. So what are the objectives? What do we want to achieve? And it's not just platform objectives like, oh, we want to recruit 10,000 more people on our social media platforms across board or whatever. But what are the specific things that you want to achieve, and how do they relate to corporate goals? So, for example, if it's a new brand that's being launched, okay, you need awareness. How are we going to drive awareness through social media? So your objective should be awareness. There you'll be talking about reach and impressions, for example. Okay, so you need to be very, very specific about the objectives that you want, that you have, and then keep them smart, like I said, or even smarter, because at every point you need to be able to evaluate them and reset your objectives. The numbers. So let's say you say that at the end of the year, we want to increase top of mind awareness about this brand by, let's say, 5%. Depending on how it's going, at any of the reviews, monthly reviews or whatever, you should be able to revise those numbers, revise those KPIs. So very, very important that you do that. The next one is the channels that you're going to use. So both online, offline channels, and how you're going to integrate them. And by online channels, I mean your websites, your social media platforms, your email marketing, your podcast, all those things, even your mobile apps and all those things. How we're going to embrace them to deliver this strategy. Now, what's important is that online tools do not work on their own. You need to integrate them with offline, because sometimes you drive traffic from offline to online, and you drive traffic from online to offline. So how are these going to integrate? Very, very important that you look at this and have that in your strategy. Often what I say is that you need to put your website at the center as the hub of everything. So everything goes into your website and it goes out of your website, because that's where people will go and deep dive and find out one. Typical example, there's no point in having POS, displays, for example, when you don't have your website on that poster, which is just the POS, because people will walk past it. If there's no way for them to go to your website to find out more about the products and your services, there's no point in doing that. Same as your billboard. And that's why these days you often see people with even QR codes on their brochures, your leaflets and stuff. So you scan and straight away you go to your website, and then you can go from there. So your website should be the center, should be the hub of everything that you have when you lay out your channels. Then a set of actions. These should include, for example, what are your content pillars, and what are the key messages that you want to communicate? Okay. Again, if you download the toolkit that comes with it, if you send me an email, I'll send it to you. You'll be able to build content pillars for your brand. Okay. Then the campaign messages. Okay. Then the schedule. What will go out when? What will we post when? All those things. The responsibilities. Who's doing what? In every good digital marketing team, that's different roles. There are people who are copywriters, there are creatives, there are people who are community managers, there are people who are media buyers, there are people who are strategists, all those things. So who's doing what? So that there are no gaps. Everybody would know what their role is within the strategy. And then a set of listening and monitoring tools. Very, 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 very important. What a lot of people often do is that they post things on their platforms, they start a campaign, they go to sleep. They don't monitor what's going on with their campaign. Digital gives you the flexibility and the ability to be able to adapt the campaign even as it goes, as it's live in campaign. So you have to have a good listening strategy, and you also be monitoring so that you'll be able to change things, be able to tweak things so you can optimize performance in real time. Okay. There are digital listening tools out there. That's some of them I recommend to you. Things like Hootsuite, Talkwalker, all those things. But people often start with even the basic one, Google Alerts. You can look for listening tools online, you find them, do that. Plus, you need to have analytics tools that will enable you to be able to tell how you're performing. Okay. Within that set also, within the actions also, have a crisis management plan, for example. These is I often tell my clients, crisis can be anticipated. If you anticipate crisis effectively, then you can avert the crisis. But even those that you cannot avert, you are able to anticipate them and have a plan such that should those crises happen, you know how to respond to them. You give yourself a better chance of winning by doing that. The next box is the box I call resources. And here you put in your budget. Digital is pay to play. It's not free. So you should have a decent budget, realistic budget that you're going to use to be able to execute your strategy. Then people with the right skills, the competencies and knowledge to be able to deliver that. Okay. And then the apps, the tools that you would need to be able to do that. The equipment, for example. So you may want to create some content on yourself. So you need to have your camera, your tripod, even your lighting, all those things. Very, very important. Then the technology that you need, for example, to be able to drive business. Then the licenses. Because for some of the tools that you would use, you need to have licenses to be able to use them. So within your strategy, also put there the resources that you need to be able to execute your strategy. Then the final box is reporting. And I love this. This is where you need to identify. So what are we going to be measuring? I mentioned earlier that if there's a new brand that's launched, you're looking at awareness, for example. So in terms of awareness, when it comes to online, what are you looking at? You're looking at reach, you're looking at impressions, you're looking at video views. So those are the metrics, the things that you're going to be measuring, okay? So you need to be clear what you're looking at for, what you're measuring. Number two, set KPIs, key performance indicators. So you would know when things are going wrong, when you are really performing all right, and what should you look for, and what will be the look of success, like we often say. So set those things. And then once you have these, what you do is monitor, measure, and optimize performance. You hear me say it very often. That's our slogan. Monitor, measure, and optimize performance. Okay. The last one in the reporting box is what I call the processes for reporting. So, for example, are there going to be weekly reports? For example, if there are weekly reports, who needs to see these reports? And these is often tell my clients, don't send reports, present reports. It's a big difference. If you send reports, people may look at the first page and say, yeah, that's all right. Then they just, skip the rest. No, make time and make sure people are available to present reports. And when they make the time for it, make the time count, make the time useful. So you present the right reports. It gives you the opportunity to discuss the performance and be able to plan for the subsequent period, okay? And be able to even maybe sell in and then be able to get a bit more budget to do the things that you want to do. So present reports, don't send them, okay? And if you're a CEO, you're a director or whoever, make time for your team to present reports to you. And that's the framework. It's just 6 simple steps. SOCARR. Situational analysis, objectives, channel, actions, resources, and then reporting. Okay. If you're able to follow these 6 simple steps, you will be able to develop a very, very comprehensive digital marketing strategy and use it to drive your organization, drive your brand or whatever, and get the results that you want. Thank you for joining me on this. Like I said, subscribe to the channel, like and share the video. And if you look down below this channel in the comments box, you see there the email address to contact me, and I'll send to you the toolkit that you need to be able to complete and get this strategy done. Thank you very much and see you soon.